Hey YouTube, I wanted to make a video sharing with you how I went from prison to building a successful technology company that is actually helping people after jail and prison find jobs. So many of you are already subscribed to my channel. You've seen one of my videos probably. But real quick, I'm going to tell you the whole thing, sum it all up in one story. So if you don't know my full story, make sure you watch this. I want to connect with you. I want you to follow my story. I'd like to hear from you. So my name is Harley Blakeman. I live in Columbus, Ohio. Grew up in Gainesville, Florida, and that's where I got in trouble. So lived there for about 10, 12 years, something like that. And I lived in a small town outside of Gainesville, Florida. That's where I spent most of my time growing up. I had a mom, dad, and brother, and my mom started drinking heavily, and she divorced my dad at 14 years old. And when I was 15 years old, unfortunately, my dad passed away. He got in a motorcycle accident. It was really unexpected. No one knew it was coming, obviously. I think he was 45, 44 when he passed, so pretty young. And myself, I was only 15. My older brother, I think he was 18, but he had already started to dabble in drugs, and he was kind of messed up too because our mom was gone and his dad had passed as well. And basically, both of us just slipped through the cracks. We were living with friends and didn't have any accountability, no parental figures or role models. And in Florida at the time, it was the height of the pill epidemic. So the opioid epidemic started from the pill epidemic. Everyone was getting addicted to Oxycontin and Xanax and the prescription pills that were flooding the country coming up from Florida. And me and my brother were kind of caught right in the crosshairs of that. Our town was flooded with prescription pills. And 16 years old, I started using Percocets and Vicodins, and very quickly it turned into Roxicets or Roxys or 30s, blues, whatever you call them. People call them different stuff, but I was doing them every day, drinking, doing coke, partying, and it got normal, of course. So by the time I was 17, I was selling drugs heavily, and for a couple months there, I was selling drugs in Georgia. So I would drive to Georgia and sell a couple hundred Oxycontin at a time, and I'd make $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month. And that was that. And for the first time, I was actually making decent money. I was feeling a little better about myself, but I was still empty. A lot of people have been to prison know, household trauma, like losing family members, whatever it may be, depression. I was suffering from all that stuff. And honestly, when I got caught, it was almost a sigh of relief because I didn't have anybody to let down. There was nobody crying because I was going to prison. And I could have probably needed some structure in my life. I'm sure if you've been through this, you know, especially if it was at a young age. Prison, for the first time, I was sober again. I had like actual some structure in my life. And, TV convinced me that I was going to get, 18-year-old white kid going to prison in Georgia. Like I was going to get assaulted. I was going to potentially get sexually assaulted. I was super lucky. I went to a place called Trutland PDC. It's basically like a parole detention center or something. And I did like sentenced to a year, did 8 months, and it was a work camp. Everyone there was doing like 5 years or less. So it was easy time in the grand scale of like what could have happened. But there was lots of gang members there. I stayed to myself and I made it through it. I read a ton of books. I got my GED. When I got out, I was just like, screw it. I'm leaving everything behind. I believe that I can like do something great with my life if I try. So I actually moved to Columbus, Ohio, because I really didn't have nothing in Florida. I didn't have a home. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. So my aunt from Columbus, Ohio offered to let me move in with her. And I came here. And it was the best decision I ever made, honestly. Within a year of living here, I was washing dishes. So I had a horrible job, but I had a great attitude, and I was sober and I was happy. I had 400 hours of community service. 400 hours of community service. So when I got out of prison, I was just talking to my girlfriend about this. I remember I was working and volunteering every week. So I was volunteering 10 hours a week for 40 weeks straight. I volunteered 10 hours a week. So almost a year straight, I worked 10 hours for free every week. But I completed my probation the first year out. And then right after I was done with probation, I applied for community college. And I did 3 semesters at Columbus State Community College here in Columbus, Ohio. And did really well. I did super good. I had like a 3.8 GPA, and I applied to the Ohio State University. Honestly, I had no expectation of getting in. my aunt who invited me here to Ohio had gone, so I just thought it would be cool. The person who owned the restaurant I went to, he studied business at the school. The restaurant I was working for, washing dishes. And I remember telling the owner that I applied, and he was like, "Oh man, you're not going to get in. That's a hard school to get into." And I remember thinking, like, fuck this motherfucker, man. I'm going to get in, and I'm going to get good grades just to spite this dude, because I'm tired of washing dishes for this guy. So I got in. I couldn't believe it. I got a letter saying I got into Ohio State University, and I was on a mission. This was my opportunity to just change it all. Like, I'm in a new place. I have a new opportunity. I'm not gonna mess this up. So that's what I did, man. I studied hard. I worked 30 hours a week and went to school full time. Didn't take any summers off, and I got a 4-year degree in 4 years. I graduated with honors from the business school. And what sucks, man, is like, even though I graduated with honors, and even though I had stayed sober and I didn't violate my papers and I did all my volunteer and I studied and I got good grades, I had letters of recommendation. I interviewed with 36 companies my senior year and nobody gave me a job offer, man. I hate to tell you guys that. I really do, because I like to be like a beacon of hope. I like to share positivity and share my success story with you guys. But that was not the end of the story. I kept persisting, kept trying. Even after graduation, all my friends had jobs. I was still trying. 4 months after graduation, I finally got a job with a manufacturing plant as a production coordinator, and it paid $58,000 a year. First year out of college, $58,000 a year is actually pretty damn good. Within 6 months, I was promoted to $65,000 a year, and I was a supervisor. So it's funny how things work, because even though it took me like 6 months longer to find a job, I was making like $13,000, $14,000 more than most of the people who graduate their first year from business school. So I was happy with the fact that I was able to figure it out and get there, but I just kept thinking, like, that's crazy how hard it was, like, to get a decent job, to where, like, these days, if you're making like less than $40,000 a year, you can barely get by. So just to make like a decent wage to where I could actually maybe have a family or get a house, I had to go through all that. And like, I could have broke at any moment and just started selling weed again, or pills, or who knows what people do when they're desperate. Thank God I didn't have like a family I needed to feed. But I eventually left my job, because in my head, I was like, there's so many people that have criminal histories. I had looked at the data. There's like 1 in 3 adults have a criminal history of some sort, so like misdemeanors and stuff. And 9% of the adults in America have a felony. So I'm thinking 9% of the workforce, like people that should have jobs, have felonies. And a lot of them do have jobs, but it's so hard for them to get that job that they may never leave their job because they're scared of how long it's going to take to find another job. And I thought that sucked. So I left my job, and I started this company called honestjobs.co. Honestjobs.co is a second chance employment platform. We are a tech company. We did raise funding, so we have a funder. And over the last year, we've worked with over 235 companies, helping them hire second chance people. Our team is small. We only have 3 people right now, but we are actually hiring. Unfortunately, you have to live in Columbus, but we are growing. And like I said, we worked with 235 companies in 2019, and we got like 1,600 people connected with jobs across the country. We got people in Alaska hired. We got people in Texas and California and Georgia and Florida and Kentucky, everywhere. People are getting hired because of our platform. So we built a marketplace where companies can put all the companies we can find that are willing to hire felons. We're putting it in one place so that I can get the message out there that when you get out of jail or prison, you shouldn't have to wait 6 months or a year to find a job. It should take 6 days. And that's what our mission is to create the best job hunting experience possible for people who have been affected by the criminal justice system. We plan to try and be, the single largest contributor to the reduction of recidivism. But what's been really cool is, like, I never thought I would get into technology. I just wanted to find a good job and change my life. Now I get invited to speak at events. I just did an interview with Forbes this morning. I'm now talking with states about doing big contracts to where we're going to be bringing in a lot of revenue to where we can help a ton of people. And it's been really cool. It's been awesome. And what feels the best is that I share my story everywhere, openly, online, doesn't matter, on stages, in front of small audiences. I tell my story. And when I talk about it, I'm talking about everybody with a criminal history. I'm saying most people with records are just like me. They may not look like me. They might be older than me. They might have done a crime that was worse than me. But it always boils down to we're people. We deserve second chances. I'm just blessed to be in that position where I had the same unique experience as so many people who go to jail or prison. I had some business school under my belt, and I was really interested in technology. And that all came together to create honestjobs.co. So not only do we connect people with jobs, but we've created a thing called Pass Check, where you can share with us your criminal history, and we won't share it with anybody else, but our algorithm lets you know which jobs you have the best chance at getting, because we created an algorithm where we look at HR policies and we look at backgrounds, and we match you guys. And you can apply for any job you want. We don't tell you not to apply for jobs, but we help you navigate, because we know you would rather get 10 interviews with companies that will hire you than get 100 interviews with only 10 of them willing to hire you, right? Because I wasted so much time interviewing with people. So that's my story. I want to answer questions. I want to start engaging more with YouTube. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. If you look back through my videos, almost none of them are done in high quality. As you can see, I'm standing in my kitchen with no good lighting or anything. It's authentic. It's real. One of these days I'll have some money, maybe, and I'll get like a studio set up for you guys. But I want to know what questions you have for me. Do you want to know about finding a job? Do you want to know about getting into college? Do you care about learning how to rebuild your credit, how to trade stocks, how to start a company, how to raise money for a company? Whatever it may be, I want to engage. I want you guys to ask questions. I want to start creating more content, at least 2 times a month. I want to put a video out there. So let me know what you think. Please connect with me. If you're not, please subscribe. Thank you so much.